There's a good chance you've never seen this painting, but I think after I tell you the story behind it, you might never want to see it again. This piece is called Portrait of Mlle. Lange as Danaë by Girodet. This painting was the artist's way of getting revenge on the model, but what started off as a means of getting even destroyed the model's reputation, ruined her career, and forced her to leave the country. But how could this painting be so bad? It all starts with the artist. He actually has a lot of names, but I'll keep things short with Girodet. Girodet was born into an upper-class family in the town of Montargis in France. Both of his parents died when he was a young adult, so his inheritance and education fell into the hands of his guardian, who some suspect might have actually been his biological father. Girodet eventually decided to pursue a career as an artist and became a student of Jacques-louis. Girodet didn't have the most easygoing personality. He was known to be arrogant, spoiled, and quick to pick a fight, as described by the Minneapolis Institute of Art, where this painting is currently on view. He was also rebellious, both personally and professionally, as he drifted from the rigid neoclassical style taught to him by David and leaned into more of a romantic style. In hindsight, he's seen as an early proponent of what would become the Romantic art movement. So Girodet was a little rough around the edges, but he was an incredible artist and one of the most talented students David ever had. Girodet won the highly coveted Prix de Rome scholarship with his piece The Story of Joseph and His Brethren when he was only 22 years old. This awarded him the ability to travel to Italy to further his studies. It was likely when he returned to France a few years later that he crossed paths with the beautiful and talented Miss Lange. Girodet first met her at the Salon of 1793, at which point she had worked her way up through multiple successful roles to being a well-known actress. Later that year, she starred in the play Pamela or Virtue Rewarded, but the play had royalist overtones, and this was during the time of the French Revolution, so the production was cancelled, and the author and all of the actors were arrested. Lange spent some time in prison, but she had friends in high places who helped her escape the guillotine. Mlle. Lange was known for her acting skills, but she was also known for her romantic affairs with wealthy men. She had a daughter, Palmyre, with one of her rich lovers. 2 years later, she gave birth to a son from another man, Michel Jean Simon, a supplier to the French army, who she married in 1798. It's debated whether it was Lange or her new husband who commissioned this painting of her from Girodet, but one thing's for sure. Once it was completed, she hated it. When Girodet submitted this piece to the Paris Salon, Lange was horrified because she thought it was a horribly unflattering portrait of her. She was so enraged that she demanded the artist remove the painting from public view immediately and told him she would only pay him half of the original agreed-upon price. Girodet was furious at her response, but he didn't just get mad. He got revenge. Since Mlle. Lange didn't like the first painting he made of her, he decided he'd make another one. But that's not all he did. First, he removed the original from the salon wall, tore it into pieces, and had it delivered to Lange's house. Then he spent the next 15 days working on this painting, which he submitted to the salon in place of the other one. Not only did he stick it in the same exact spot as the original painting, he displayed it in the same frame as well. We're confronted with Mlle. Lange posing as Danaë, a figure in Greek mythology. Danaë was the daughter of King Acrisius of Argos. The story goes like this. King Acrisius found out that he was destined to be killed by his grandson. To prevent his deadly fate, he locked Danaë in a bronze chamber to make sure she couldn't have a baby. But Zeus, the king of the gods, desired Danaë, so he came to her in the form of a shower of golden rain, impregnating her. This story is bizarre enough on its own, but just wait, because things are about to get so much weirder. Traditionally, artists depict sitters as mythological figures to emphasize their strengths, but Girodet turned this on its head, spotlighting Lange's flaws instead. Danaë is seated on a bed covered by a coarse blanket that's being steadied by a brick, Oh, don't worry about him. We'll get to him in a minute. She daintily grasps at a piece of blue drapery with her left hand, collecting the gold coins raining down from above. In the same hand, she holds up a mirror, but she doesn't look at her reflection. Instead, she gazes lovingly at the falling coins, insinuating her greed. And if we look closely, we see that the mirror is cracked. The absence of Lange's reflection conveys her inability to see herself as Girodet saw her, as vain and selfish. If we look below the mirror, we see a turkey with a wedding ring on its toe. This is thought to represent Lange's husband, Michel Jean-Simon. And, you know, I somehow can see a resemblance. But if we look behind the turkey, we see that a cupid is replacing his feathers with peacock feathers. Peacocks were known to represent vanity and were a common symbol of a husband with an unfaithful spouse. Perhaps it's no coincidence that Lange has some peacock feathers on her head as well. If we look to the bottom right of the painting, we see a dead dove, evidently killed by one of the falling coins. Inscribed on his collar is the word fidelitas, which is Latin for fidelity. In the shadows behind is another dove. Its collar is inscribed with the word constantia, which translates to constancy. This could suggest the lack of fidelity and constancy in Lange's romantic relationships. Below the bed is a man's head. This is identified as one of Lange's previous lovers, Euthrop Beauregard, who is rumored to have spent 10,000 livres, about $40,000 in today's dollars, to spend 12 hours with her. This is symbolized by the gold coin lodged in his eye. We can see the statue of abundance peeking out from behind to the right of the painting. A candle in front of it attracts a variety of moths and even a mouse, hinting at Lange's appeal, drawing in her admirers like moths to a flame. This painting is full of harsh symbolism, but this next one is particularly scathing. If we shift a little to the left, we see a cupid helping hold the blue sheet. She wears the same feathers on her head as Lange, and also the same earrings. This figure is meant to be Lange's daughter that she had out of wedlock. That's right, Girodet used Lange's innocent daughter to throw shade at her. The aid she's providing to collect the coins is probably in reference to the 200,000 livres, equivalent to about $800,000 today, that she received from her father for her education. When this painting was displayed at the Salon, it scandalized Paris, so much so that it was taken off display only 2 days later, but the damage was already done at this point. Consequently, Girodet's reputation took a hit. The public saw him as ruthless and greedy. However, in time, his career rebounded. He even went on to create portraits for Napoleon Bonaparte. Girodet initially defended his piece, but later became ashamed of it and apparently refused to show it even to his closest friends later in life. While the artist's reputation recovered, Mademoiselle Lange's life as she knew it was over. After the painting was exhibited in the Paris Salon, it caused such a scandal that she quit acting and moved to Italy, where she remained for the rest of her life. Years later, on a visit to France, she saw a print after Girodet's Danaë. Overwhelmed with emotion seeing it, she remarked that the painting would make her die of grief. She passed away in Florence in 1816 at the age of 43. So, what do you think about this? Do you believe Girodet was justified in creating this revenge painting, or do you think he took it too far? One thing's for sure, some things just never change. Like spiders, for example. Who hasn't had their hard-earned coins swiped by those 8-legged bandits? Greed must be woven into their very silk.